And there it is, our plan worked. It was easy enough, right?
It was easy enough, yeah.
To cut the bracket into a simple L shape and mount it right up against the firewall like so. Our wire was long enough. We didn't have to change anything, and the hood still closes. So for those of you that do have a 392 and you're like, oh man, this is the one plug and play part of it that isn't. Now you know, it's simple enough. Just cut it and re-tap it. And we were able to get all 3 screws into it and it bolted right in place. Good job, Fernando. High five. Snap the grills in after I got the dash back together, and now we're going to take a look at plugging this back in. The easiest way to do that is to plug this main harness in first before you do anything, just because of how it latches. Now the arm should pull it into place, and you want to make sure you hear that click. Plug in all your extra cables into it. When you're putting this back in, make sure you're careful. There's leather and or painted material here. Kind of work your way in nice and slow, get it all up in there. Snap the trim bezel back on, place the 2 screws, and we are so close now that it almost hurts.
Smells like so good.
But we still have a couple things we have to do, and that is actually the most important part, I would say. Would you agree?
The coolest part. For me, that will be the
coolest. I will agree. Okay, coolest part for sure. Yeah. That's the base knob. Now, to put the base knob into this, Rockford has really overthought this like they've done the rest of the systems. This is Jurassic Park, man. Spare no expense. Eat all the ice cream before it melts. We have to pull the power port out, also known as the cigarette lighter for those of you that are old like me. We're not losing it. We're going to actually relocate it into the glove box. They give us this whole thing to do that. Now, up until this point, other than having to modify the fuse holder, which we only had to do because it's a 392. If it wasn't, we wouldn't have had to do that. We haven't had to do anything, like nothing to cut, nothing to drill. We did cut that piece in the back, but that's because that was aftermarket. It had nothing to do with this. All I've done is use the 7, the Torx, and Allen, and that's it. I haven't had to modify anything. It's great.
Build anything.
Build anything. My laser's over there just bored out of his mind. Until now, we're gonna have to drill a couple holes in the glove box to mount their bracket that they came up with. I know, right? So it's like, oh, bummer.
Let's go.
All these pieces here are what we're talking about. We have this tool, which is gonna allow us to remove this power port here. This is the relocation here in the glove box. This is the tool we're going to use to drill new holes. So there's all this stuff here that's all we need. First tool is this. This is a cigarette lighter remover. The piece that's going to go in to allow us to mock up where our holes need to go. The hole saw. And then we have some screws and mounting tabs for zip ties and stuff. Inside this bag, this is the cool replacement power point here. It is a whole cigarette lighter. We're not going to be reusing theirs, which is good. Then we have this guy, which is the extension. This allows us to plug in and add in our power port. First step is to use this tool to get this out. To do that, it's supposed to go in like this, push in those tabs, and then you're supposed to like this to come out. Now I'm going to tell you straight up, I've never gotten one of these to work ever, so I'm not holding my breath with this actually working. It is not going to be easy. It is going to be a struggle. I've always found that just by coming from the back with a flathead, it does a much better job than trying to use one of these guys. All right. It's out. You can get the rest of this out without damaging it. This is the knob here. It's super sexy. It has the Rockford logo. It's illuminated. Pretty cool. Pull the screw out, and then on the top here there's a little tooth that matches this little tooth. That is going to come in the back just like that. There's another little piece that sticks up here that lines up with a hole that is inside of this. Don't go crazy. Don't like Gorilla Tighten the hell out of it. It's not going to fall off. These guys here are magnets, and there's 2 magnets located on the back side of the Rockford logo. And if you'll notice, as I'm turning this, the Rockford logo stays perfectly centered. But if I pop it off, I can spin it around like a spinner. So these 2 magnets are holding this. They really got complicated on this. If we turn it upside down, it automatically spins up. So check this out. We'll flip it. And then boom, flips it, and it goes the right way. Push that down into place, and there you go. As you can see, Rockford logo stays put, and our base wire will plug directly into that. So this panel is all set. This guy right here, plug it into the car so that we can then plug this in right here. Why is there an extra end here? And that's for this cable right here in case we need a constant 12 volts for anything. Let's hop into the car. We'll put this in the glove box. Earlier when we were in the glove box putting our data connection in there, I said Fernando's gonna zip tie it up. We actually didn't zip tie it up yet because we knew we were gonna have this step, so there was really no point in doing it yet. Fish the wire through, just like we did the data connection. And then inside we have our giant bundle of wires that we were playing with earlier. I'm looking for this gray one here with the blue end. Yours might be different. And that is gonna plug into our gray end here. This guy is all set and ready to go. Tuck it up and out of the way. Here's our base knob wire that we pre-ran. And now we can get this panel back in. Now there's this one extra wire here that's gonna go to our AC panel. Make sure that you pull it out, get it above this screw hole before you start tucking all of this back in. Otherwise you're gonna have to pull it all back out. That's no fun. We have that 1 7mm left to put back in here. Time to put the air conditioning controls back in. Give it a little tapping. And there you go, all set and ready. Our wire is over here and ready to be plugged in. Nothing is zip tied in place yet. We still have to do that. But let's go back over to the bench and we'll mount that cigarette lighter into place. And we'll be done. It's so exciting. This panel here that they gave us lines up perfectly with the back of the glove box. It has a slight arc to it here. So we want to hold it in place. There's 2 holes that need to be here and 2 holes that need to be on the side. Drill those. And once those are drilled, we want to flip this over, and it says here 3/16 drill bit, pilot hole for 20mm hole saw. That is this guy right here that they gave us. We'll switch bits. That gives us this, which will allow that cable to go through. Conveniently located right here. In our little parts bin, there is 3 little Allen screws. It is a 2.5mm. Line it up. And that gets it in there. Empty out any crumbs that you may have. You don't want to pass those along. Let's get this into the car and then we'll be done. Line it up, get your arm over here, make sure it is out, click it into place, push the go box up, make sure it opens and closes, and you got that cable tucked out of the way for you, so you have nothing to worry about there. Put all the stuff back in the glove box. This is kind of that moment. Like, we've been working on this for a while. The only thing left to do is turn it on. It's kind of scary. It just is, right? Always turn it on? I don't know. Yeah, I always get antsy. Even though I've done this a million times, it's still like, pins and needles, pins and needles. All right, so we didn't actually turn it on because I said to Fernando, hey, is there anything that Eric is telling us to do before we do that? And he goes, oh yeah, we're not supposed to turn it on. We're supposed to lock the car and let it sit for 20 minutes. Good catch, Fernando.
I mean, I tell you before.
No, you didn't. No, he didn't.
No, I said before we turn it on.
Oh, yeah. Very crucial step. It is different for both the amplified system and the non-amplified system.
Yeah.
So make sure you watch that portion of the video from them. Our assignment right now is to shut the vehicle, lock it, let it set for 20 minutes, make sure that the key fob is far away from the vehicles, and then we get to see if it works. The base knob light will go off and everybody will be happy. The reason why you're doing this is so that the DSR-1 can learn on its own what type of Jeep Wrangler it is in, as opposed to plugging it into a laptop and doing all that. So we've been waiting 20 minutes. It was painful, wasn't it?
It was.
Actually, it was kind of nice. We actually cleaned up a little bit, organized everything. It gave us time to collect all of the stuff that we took out of the car, speakers, soundbar, things like that, and get them all in a nice pile so that we could throw them into the back of the truck when we're done. Now is the time. Turn it on, and we need to do some testing to make sure everything works. Bass knob, doing its bass knobby thing. Feels good, nice and turny turn. We have CarPlay all set and queued up. I have a DRM free song. Fernando, could you press play for me? Make sure we have sound. At this point, if you have no sound or it sounds weird, like the sound is just coming from the rear or something weird is going on, that means the DSR-1 didn't learn what was going on, especially in a non-amplified system. In an amplified system, if you have sound, you're golden. It's gonna work, and especially if the sound goes up and down, which clearly it does. So it learned it's good. Now let's get the bass. having flashbacks?
I like it. I demoed this vehicle
Hundreds
of times. And not this specific vehicle, but the Rockford Fosgate vehicle, and I like it. That was awesome, man.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, we spent 4 days at SEMA demoing these for Rockford. We had a great time. He was in the Wrangler. This is actually the first time I'm hearing the Wrangler, because I was in the Gladiator and didn't get to hear this ever. I never had time.
Yeah.
We were always busy. So it's kind of nice. It definitely does have more bass than the Gladiator, like they were telling me. That's it. We're done. We have the system in. Now, I strongly recommend you watch Rockford's video with Eric telling you all about how it's supposed to be done. Our video is, hey, we've been doing this a really long time. We work on hundreds and hundreds of Jeeps, so obviously we know some of the shortcuts. There's something on ours that you were like, I don't know what. Definitely go watch his video because they'll explain it more in depth. We hope you like the way we structured this video, breaking it down into parts that were easy to follow, easy to understand. And if you're watching all the way to the end now, thank you so much, and we hope you enjoyed it.
That's right.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that cool stuff. If there's any tools that you don't have that you wish you did, we have full lists of tools for you to find over on DNF Tool Drawer. What do you say, Fernando?
On to the next one, guys.
You guys have a great night as always. We'll see you later next time.
Bye.
Bye. Somebody's gonna be like, oh my god, you clipped the microphone. Yeah, I know. We were trying to.